I suppose you got the message on the Book of Faces that I made it into Costume Con this year with a booth.
I never check Facebook, so I did not. Congratulations.
I just got the news today because like a month ago I applied and they were like, "We have a waiting list. Good luck with that." And I was like, "All right, I'll plan around. Yeah, I'll plan to not do
Yeah.
that then." And today they were like, "Guess what?" I was like, "Oh, score." So I got a room at the Hyatt so that I don't have to, travel to get to my booth. And
hmm
and I'm really excited because Costume Con is WhimsyCon this year. They they have Toy Smashed and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Wonder Twin powers activate." And
Yes.
now I'm like among the 77,000 things I have to do over the next month, I sort of want to put together a costume or two because it's Costume Con and there's gonna be like famous cosplayers and shit, and I want to be like one of the cool kids.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I feel like the Biblionost costume is always good. You have that at least to, fall back on and start with. And
Thanks. Yep, we'll start there. And I'm like, what else can I like move around in or sit comfortably in for hours on end? Because that's really what booth life is. Oh my gosh, did I not get that last hour? Hang on. Damn it! 10 out of 11 hours. It's not doing it.
I believe you. I am sorry.
Ah! Oh well. Still got the benefit of those 10 hours.
There you go.
All right.
Um,
What?
I was going to say something, but I forgot it. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know. Meanwhile, we are back in moth territory.
Huzzah!
I've not done
Moth
anything,
talk!
not done anything on this moth since the last time you saw it.
Ah,
And also,
I
it's
I
upside
haven't
down. I know.
I haven't worked on my faces either. I have worked a little bit on my giant poster. Okay, so um I accidentally bought a 24 by 36 poster frame when I needed a 24 by 30. So then
hmm
I just have this poster frame hanging out for no reason. And I was like, "Ooh, I wonder if that will look good on the wall in the living room where there is a big blank space." And yes, 24 by 36 fits perfectly there. And it's the Star Wars wall. We've got all our other Star Wars stuff there. And a couple of bookcases and a little couch and this great big empty frame. And I was like, okay, I should go see if I can get a nice big poster sized like graphic art, very minimalist art of something Star Wars. And it's all expensive and it's all too small and it's all like branded and disappointing. So I was like, okay, well, plan B is I make something. I need 24 by 36 watercolor paper. So your choices are buy like 10 sheets for $200 of that size, or buy a roll of 42 inches by 10 yards for like $50. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have 30 feet of, of
Watercolor
paper
paper.
because
I,
I can spot a good deal. And I'm glad I've got more and not less because it turns out that painting at this size, especially if you're aiming for minimalism, which means nice, clean, sweeping color gradients and shit, um, is really hard to achieve. And I've gone through two pieces already. One that got messed up here. Ugh. These these are my Tatooine rejects. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not what I was picturing in my head. So I was like, I have plenty of paper and I can just use those for other things now.
there you go. I mean, they look great to me, but I trust your vision.
it's like there's a couple of mistakes that once they're in a frame on the wall, it'll be all I can see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, no. Okay. Hoping to have that done in time to give it to Jason for Valentine's Day because he's really excited about the gifts, plural, he's giving me. And I'm like, oh, fuck. He was like, I used your Etsy account to order a thing. Don't look at what it is, please.
Nice.
Yeah. Do, do, do.
Do, 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 do.
Okay, so where the fuck are we? In that time was made the Silmarils, High Princes. Where the heck?
So we were. Oh, I'm gonna have to go get my book, aren't I?
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure we were at the end of a section or close to the end of a section. Hang on. I'll go get my book.
Uh, I feel like.
So we were not at the end of a section.
I know that Melkor lusted for the Silmarils.
It was after that, and then he it's the hang on. So it's the paragraph where he gets them to start building weapons.
Right.
And Feanor made a secret forge, and then Matan ruled the day. He taught him the lore of metalwork.
Right. Bitterly did Matan rue the day when he taught to the husband of Nerdanel all the lore of metalwork that he had learned of Aule. Thus, with lies and evil whisperings and false counsel, Melkor kindled the hearts of the Noldor to strife, and of their quarrels came at length the end of the high days of Valinor and the evening of its ancient glory. For Feanor now began openly to speak words of rebellion against the Valar, crying aloud that he would depart from Valinor.
Yeah, Feanor.
Back to the world without, and would deliver the Noldor from thraldom if they would follow him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, oh God, making a big deal out of what's not a big deal. Like, give him a boat, send him back, see what happens.
Right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go back. Okay.
Okay.
Have fun.
What's stopping you?
Right? And I will deliver you from thraldom if you become my thralls. I mean, wait.
Wait. No.
Nope. But yeah, seriously. Honestly, everyone would probably be glad of the break if they just sent him back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going back to the other side of the sea. Like, oh no.
Oh no.
We'll miss you.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you take Melkor? Then there was great unrest in Tirion, and Finwë was troubled. He summoned all his lords to council. But Fingolfin hastened to his halls and stood before him, saying, King and father, wilt thou not restrain the pride of our brother Caru Finwë, who is called the Spirit of Fire all too truly? By what right does he speak for all our people as if he were king? Thou it was who long ago spoke before the Quendi, bidding them accept the summons of the Valar to Aman. Thou it was that led the Noldor upon the long road through the perils of Middle-earth to the light of Eldamar. If thou dost not now repent of it, 2 sons at least thou hast to honor thy words. Damn. Like, your eldest son is a pig. But even as Fingolfin spoke, Feanor strode into the chamber. Ooh. And he
Yes.
was fully armed, his high helm upon his head, and at his side a mighty sword. So it is even as I guessed, he said. My half brother would be before me with my father in this as in all other matters. Then, turning upon Fingolfin, he drew his sword, crying, Get thee gone and take thy due place. Fingolfin bowed before Finwë, and without word or glance to Feanor, he went from the chamber. But Feanor,
Ooh, burn.
mm-hmm, but Feanor followed him, and at the door of the king's house he stayed him, and the point of his bright sword he set against Fingolfin's breast. See, half-brother, he said, this is sharper than thy tongue. Try but once more to usurp my place and the love of my father, and maybe it will rid the Noldor of one who seeks to be the master of thralls.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Right? This is why we can't have everlasting peace. Because you're going to believe some fucking lies, and then no matter what you
Yeah.
see, you'll use it as proof of your fucking lies.
That and also like the sibling rivalry. So intense.
Right? Every time.
Hello, cat.
Except for you and I, of course.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. We rival not at all.
We do not. Neither of us desires to be High King of the Noldor.
Nor do we listen to people who lie to us about the other one. I think, much as the show damaged me, I was happy to have seen Game of Thrones, if only for the scene where the. Okay, you never watched it, right?
Never watched it, wasn't interested.
There's a scene where the two sisters are reunited. They've both had very, very different traumas happen to them at various times. And there's this guy who's been considering himself a manipulator, a puppet master through the whole. I don't remember how deep this was in like 5 seasons. He thinks he's got everybody, and he tells the older sister that the younger sister desires power, and he tells the younger sister that the older sister. He's trying to pit them against each other, and eventually the older sister has the younger stand in the chamber with all these witnesses and little puppet master over by the side. And she delivers a bunch of accusations about sowing vice and divisiveness and a bunch of stuff and lying and all these things. And then she says, how do you answer, Littlefinger? And the sister, who's apparently on trial, also turns to look at like, you thought we wouldn't talk to each other? You thought we wouldn't like figure out what the fuck you're trying to do? And yeah, he ends up getting executed in that scene, and it's just not even an event. Like, little sister walks up to him, slashes his throat, and walks away as he falls. Like, it's just such a like, no. And I'm like, I wish I could collect all those moments and deliver them to a person without the shit that really hurt. But I think it helps that you have been through the hurty bit, so you're like, oh god, another hurty bit. Oh no, that was great. I want to watch that again. I want to watch it in slow-mo.
Yeah, it's like that cathartic payoff at that point.
Yeah, you gotta have it. And yeah, if Feanor and Fingolfin had just sat down behind the scenes and been like, so what is Melkor saying about me to you?
Right. Or just gone to each other and been like, bro, I'm feeling like I just feel like there's a little bit of like jealousy coming up, and I don't like that I'm feeling this way. Can we talk about it?
Right?
They didn't even have to bring up Melkor. They could just be like, yo, are you jealous of me?
Right?
No, are you jealous of me? No.
Like, are you trying to usurp my father's love? Like, God, no.
He's got enough love for all of us, but that's the problem, of course, is that Feanor didn't like his stepmom, so he didn't like his half brother, so he could never like share.
Right.
He wanted to be Finwë's son.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh. These words were heard by many, for the house of Finwë was in the great square beneath the Mindon. What's the Mindon?
I don't know. I don't remember that, hearing that word at all. You know who's not making threats and accusations at this moment, though?
Fingolfin?
Finarfin!
Finarfin! Our boy Finarfin. We love you, Finarfin. Watch him make an accusation in the next paragraph.
That could happen.
But again Fingolfin made no answer, and passing through the throng in silence, he went to seek Finarfin, his brother.
Dang it.
No, that's okay. Maybe Finarfin talks sense into him. Let's see. Now the unrest of the Noldor was not indeed hidden from the Valar, but its seed had been sown in the dark. And therefore, since Feanor first spoke openly against them, they judged that he was the mover of discontent. Again, y'all
They're really
suck.
dumb.
They're so dumb.
They're so dumb.
Being eminent in self-will and arrogance, though all the Noldor had become proud. Oh God, these people have been around for 10,000 years, and then 2 weeks after we free this guy from prison, they're all misbehaving. It must be one of the 10,000-year-olds. Anyway. And Manwë was grieved. But he watched and said no word. The Valar had brought the Eldar to their land freely to dwell or to depart, and though they might judge departure to be folly, they might not restrain them from it. But now the deeds of Feanor could not be passed over, and the Valar were angered and dismayed. And he was summoned to appear before them at the gates of Valmar to answer for all his words and deeds. There also were summoned all others who had any part in this matter, or any knowledge of it. And Feanor, standing before Mandos in the Ring of Doom, was commanded to answer all that was asked of him. Then, thank fuck, that's not in the book. Then at last the root was laid bare, and the malice of Melkor revealed. And straightway Tulkas left the council to lay hands upon him and bring him again to judgment. But Feanor was not held guiltless, for he it was that had broken the peace of Valinor and drawn his sword upon his kinsman. And Mandos said to him, Thou speakest of thraldom. If thraldom it be, thou canst not escape it, for Manwë is king of Arda and not of Aman only. And this deed was unlawful, whether in Aman or not in Aman. Therefore this doom is now made. For 12 years thou shalt leave Tirion, where this threat was uttered. In that time take counsel with thyself, and remember who and what thou art. Remember who you are, Simba. But after that time this matter shall be set in peace and held redressed, if others will release thee. Then Fingolfin said, I will release my brother. But Feanor spoke no word in answer, standing silent before the Valar. Then he turned and left the council and departed from Valmar. I'm going to run away. Yeah, you do that. We own everything. There's no such place as a way.
I'm going to be free from the gods. We're the gods, so good luck with that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Go for it. Run away. Do it.
Actually, we're putting you in timeout for 12 years. Think about what you've done.
Please. Take counsel with yourself, because taking counsel with yourself has helped anyone ever in all of Middle-earth's history. Take counsel with some sane people.
That is very true.
Seek therapy.
That's about to be the refrain for a lot of the next part of the book, isn't it?
Oh. With him into banishment went his 7 sons, and northward in Valinor they made a strong place and treasury in the hills. And there at Formenos a multitude of gems were laid in hoard, and weapons also, and the Silmarils were shut in a chamber of iron. Thither also came Finwë the king, because of the love that he bore to Feanor, and Fingolfin ruled the Noldor in Tirion. Thus the lies of Melkor were made true in seeming, though Feanor by his own deeds had brought this thing to pass, and the bitterness that Melkor had sown endured, and lived still long afterwards between the sons of Fingolfin and Feanor. What's the Uguay saying? One will often meet your destiny on the road you take to avoid it.
I mean, that's the whole principle of tragedy,
Yeah.
is that the choices you make to avoid it are the exact choices that cause it to come about.
Yep. It's a fun mental exercise if you have like insomnia to go through Shakespeare's tragedies and comedies and see how few changes need to be made to make them into the other type of entertainment. Like it's really not a lot.
Yeah, if Benedict had killed Claudio when Beatrice asked him to,
Yeah.
then Much Ado would be a tragedy.
Oh, and Hero could have died on the altar like they said she did. Um, and at the say on the same note, Romeo and Juliet could have accidentally survived and lived happily ever after, and their houses could have been reconciled. And yeah, Malvolio could have survived his stabbing.
I think you're thinking of Mercutio, because
Mercutio.
Malvolio is from 12th Night.
Sorry, I read Twelfth Night more recently than Romeo and Juliet because I loathe Romeo and Juliet.
I don't like it either, but what I do like is Harold Perrineau, who played Mercutio in the Baz Luhrmann movie.
Oh,
He
which
was
I didn't
great.
see. Did I? Nope. I need to do that.
You need to do that. John Leguizamo
I'm
plays
trying.
Tybalt.
Oh yeah, and their swords are all guns.
Their swords are guns that say sword on them.
Subtle.
as, as if that's the brand, you know.
Yeah,
I shall
yeah.
draw
More
my
branding.
rapier, and the gun is called the rapier.
Yeah,
Like,
that was actually pretty fucking clever.
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to imagine Macbeth as a comedy though. That one's more difficult. It's easier when there's a love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Dup, 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 dup. Now Melkor, knowing that his devices had been revealed, hid himself and passed from place to place as a cloud in the hills, and Tulka sought for him in vain. Then it seemed to the people of Valinor that the light of the trees was dimmed, and the shadows of all standing things grew longer and darker in that time. Fucking hard on them. They're all just trying to work and live and be kind of cool, have a good life, and everything's going to shit, and they have no way to stop it, and
Nope.
it's not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
It is told that for a time Melkor was not seen again in Valinor, nor was any rumor heard of him, until suddenly he came to Formenos and spoke with Feanor before his doors. Friendship he feigned with cunning argument, urging him to his former thought of flight from the trammels of the Valar. And he said, Behold the truth of all that I have spoken, and how thou art banished unjustly. Ah,
Uh-huh.
but if the heart of Feanor is yet free and bold, as were his words in Tirion, then I will aid him and bring him far from this narrow land. For am I not Vala also? Yea, and more than those who sit in pride in Valimar. And I have ever been I'm more god than the gods.
I mean, that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm Valarier than you.
I'm Valar. I'm the Valariest. And I have ever been a friend to the Noldor, most skilled and most valiant of the people of Arda. Now Feanor's heart was still bitter at his humiliation before Mandos, and he looked at Melkor in silence, pondering if indeed he might yet trust him so far as to aid him in his flight. And Melkor, seeing that Feanor wavered, and knowing that the Silmarils held his heart in thrall, said at the last, "Here is a strong place, and well guarded, but think not that the Silmarils will lie safe in any treasury within the realm of the Valar." But his cunning overreached his aim. His words touched too deep, and awoke a fire more fierce than he designed. And Feanor looked upon Melkor with eyes that burned through his fair semblance and pierced the cloaks of his mind, perceiving there his fierce lust for the Silmarils. Then hate overcame Feanor's fear, and he cursed Melkor and bade him begone, saying, "Get thee gone from my gate, thou jail crow of Mandos!" And he shut the doors of his house in the face of the mightiest of all the dwellers in Ea. Which, all things being equal, is pretty badass of him.
It is pretty badass of him. It's a shame he did it because he's a tool.
Yeah, right?
All he did was go, "You can't have my toy." Slam.
You can't have it. Then Melkor departed in shame, for he was himself in peril, and he saw not his time yet for revenge. But his heart was black with anger. And Finwë was filled with great fear, and in haste he sent messengers to Manwë in Valmar. One more paragraph, and then we're at the end of the chapter. Now the Valar were sitting in council before their gates, fearing the lengthening of the shadows, when the messengers came from Formenos. At once Orome and Tulka sprang up, but even as they set out in pursuit, messengers came from Eldamar, telling that Melkor had fled through the Calasyria, and from the hill of Tuna the elves had seen him pass in wrath as a thundercloud. And they said that thence he had turned northward, for the Telerian Alqualonde had thence had seen his shadow going by their haven toward Ahriman. Thus Melkor departed from Valinor in a huff.
He flounced.
He flounced. If that's too soon, you can leave in a minute in a huff. And thus Melkor departed from Valinor, and for a while the two trees shone again, unshadowed, and the land was filled with light. But the Valar sought in vain for tidings of their enemy, and as a cloud far off that looms ever higher, borne upon a slow, cold wind, a doubt now marred the joy of all the dwellers in Aman, dreading they knew not what evil that yet might come. Ba-ba-bum!
And they were right to dread some evil.
Right? It was a good dread. It was correct. It is frustrating though, you know?
Once again, it would have been easy to avoid all of this by just not letting Melkor out of jail.
Yeah. Or not putting him in jail, putting him in therapy.
Seek therapy!
Seek therapy! Yeah. Everybody's got daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
Except the Astari later, who will have mommy issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's aggravating.
It is. It is that.
Yeah. I think the Silmarillion isn't meant to be a happy book, and so it's okay that we're getting frustrated and disappointed with the characters, as they are frustrating and disappointing.
I mean, I thought it was pretty clear that it wasn't meant to be a happy book.
Oh, someone posted somewhere the order of like how to read the books of Middle Earth as they have, the ones that are currently published, like this is the right order. And I saw the Children of Hurin in there, and I was like, that's not one that you could turn into a comedy. Children of Hurin is pure tragedy. There's no good, there's no shining light, like no Billy, even your tiny soul is doomed kind of story. I'm glad I read it once. I will never read it again.
I will not read it at all because I don't like to be depressed.
It's so depressing. And there's some books where they're like depressing through most of it, and then at the end you're like, ah. And yeah, the end of the Children of Hurin is more like
Yeah. Hard pass.
hard pass indeed. All right, I love you. I will see
love you too.
you next week.
Indeed, indeed.
Cuidado.